Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know, I am DJ, or DJ the Demon 666. And if you haven't noticed yet, my background is very different from the last time you saw it. My walls are empty, and this shit's like peeled off. It's because we're renovating right now. We're in the middle of the process. We've had a few hiccups along the way, but we're getting there. But that is not the topic of this video. The topic of this video is I have a new weapon. A new weapon that has not been shown on the channel. A new addition to the arsenal. Now, I've actually had this for a few months now, but I just never made a video on it. Partially because my idea behind that was I didn't want back-to-back weapon videos, but in the, what would that be, 4 months since the last Arsenal report, I have not made a new video nor had any ideas for new videos. So I figured I would just make this, show you my new toy, yeah. So without further ado, let me introduce you to yet another anime weapon. The Demon Blade, Lostvayne. Yes, this is Meliodas' sword from Seven Deadly Sins. Lostvayne the Demon Blade, or Demon Sword, I don't remember. But yes, and it's like solid metal, sharp, it's fucking heavy. Yeah, this thing's a fucking weapon. And you can see how accurate it is, it's got the markings, it's got the holes. Yeah, this thing will do some damage. I think this is a more chopper kind of thing. It's like a cleaver, like a machete, basically. The other short one that's around this length that I have is a lot lighter. That's more for like agility type things. This is just pure get fucked kind of energy. So if you've never watched the Seven Deadly Sins anime, that means you haven't experienced the disappointment that comes with the last couple seasons of it. But yes, this is the sword of the, I guess you could say, main character, Meliodas. This is his sacred treasure. So the Seven Deadly Sins is just going to turn into a video about me explaining Seven Deadly Sins. That's fine. I can do that. So the Seven Deadly Sins in universe are a group of magic knights for the kingdom of Leore. I think. I don't remember. I haven't watched it in forever. I'm wrong. It is not Leore or Leore. It is Leones. And yet, because I'm an idiot, I am going to be saying Leore or Leore throughout the entire video. So, just try to bear with me on that. And also, yes, I am editing this while daytime. And yes, I am wearing the same clothes. It's only about an hour later, which means this will get out in a reasonable amount of time. I know, it's a miracle. But yeah, I'm an idiot, so just try to overlook it. But yeah, they're a group of magic knights, the strongest group of magic knights, that were actually framed for the murder of one of the previous Grand Magic Knight. And exiled, and they had to go into hiding. The thing is, Meliodas doesn't actually know if he did it because Merlin, another member, wiped his mind. So, the thing with the Seven Deadly Sins is there's obviously 7 members. Each one of them is assigned a different sin, which is related to their past or their personality in some way. So, a brief overview. Meliodas is the dragon sin of wrath, because he once destroyed an entire fucking kingdom because his girlfriend died. And then we have Bon, the fox's sin of greed, who drank the fountain of youth, which we later find out he didn't do. Well, originally he was trying to steal it. Then he met the guardian of the fountain of life and learned about it, and learned that it also makes the fairy forest live, and was like, okay, fine, I won't steal it. But then the fairy forest gets attacked, and then they both, like the Guardian and Bond, get hurt, and the Guardian gives Bond the thing, the elixir of life, so he can protect the forest, right? Doesn't matter. And then there's King, the son of Sloth, who was actually the Fairy King, and the reason, and wasn't there when the whole thing with Bond happened because he was off finding his friend. It doesn't matter. He's the son of Sloth because he feels responsible for the destruction of the fairy realm, or the Fairy King's forest, because he wasn't there. And then there's, who would be next? Gother, the goat sin of lust. He is actually a doll created by a member of the Ten Commandments, Gother. I forget what his commandment is. But he has full autonomy and everything. And he is the sin of lust because he is modeled after the original Gother's wife, late wife, I believe. Even though he's a guy, and I think built like a doll down, but built like a mannequin down there, like canonically. But yeah, he's interesting. And then there's Merlin, the boar sin of gluttony. She's not the typical image of gluttony. She is always in search of more knowledge, more power. Not never satisfied, and that's what the gluttony means for her. You would think that'd be greed, but I guess that was just already taken. And then there's Escanor, the lion son of pride, because when he's in his day form, he is very prideful, rightfully so, but it's to a ridiculous level. Now, each of the 7 deadly sins has this thing called sacred treasure, which is something that either they already had that was very important to them and they can use its full ability, or something given to them by the king of Liore when they had their when the 7 deadly sins started. So, Meliodas' is this, the demon sword Lostvayne. This amplifies his power by a lot. It allows him to use his ability for full counter to its full potential. It also allows him to clone himself. Basically Shadow Clone Jutsu from Naruto. So every clone, like however many clones he makes, all of their power level, because this has a numbered power level system like Dragon Ball, all of their power levels combined equal half of the main body Meliodas' power level. So say his power level is 3,000, and he makes 3 clones. Each one of the clones will have 1,000, but the main body will still have 3,000. Right? But it really doesn't matter what your power level is when you have an ability like full counter. Full counter is a thing where, as long as you have like a blade or a stick he's used before, something he can swing, any magic that is thrown at him is reflected back at double the strength, at double the power that it was thrown at him. So, what about the other sacred treasures? Because there's definitely a few that I want in the future as additions to my arsenal. Those specifically would be King's sacred treasure Chastiful, aka the Spirit Spear Chastiful, which is each of the Fairy Kings gets a Spirit Spear, which was created by the Tree of Life in the Fairy King's Forest, which allows them to do different things. Spirit Spear Chastiful, the Spirit Spears have different forms. It can do different things, right? Spirit Spear Chastiful's base form is that of like a spear, right? And that's the one you would get because it's the most iconic one. And other ones like literally thousands of daggers flying around, or a giant flower the size of a skyscraper. sunflower the size of a skyscraper, or glowing orb. Like, that's not really the greatest thing, or either can be done or should be done. But the thing is, then there is Escanor's sacred treasure, Rita, Divine Axe Rita. So what this does is it takes Escanor's sunshine, like excess sunshine is his power that makes him more strong as the higher the sun gets. It takes excess power from that and stores it. So if they're in a pinch at night and there's no sun, he can use the sunshine stored in Divine Axe Rita to get to a form that he would at least have it like early morning or before the sun sets. Not anywhere near full power, but still. Divine Axe Rita is also just a really powerful. It's a giant axe. Like Galland, another one of the Ten Commandments, says it's remarks that it's too short to be a two-handed axe, and there's not enough handle for it, but it's too heavy to be a one-handed axe. And then Escanor yoinks it from, who had just woken up without them noticing and is now in day form, just yoinks it from him, and he's like, it is a one-handed axe. You're just weak. And it's fucking awesome. But yeah, but then there's other sacred treasures that either couldn't be made into real-life weapons or really aren't weapons, period. Like Merlin's, the hell is it called? Star of David? No. Morning Star Aldan, which is just kind of an orb that amplifies her, it's like a crystal ball that is a medium for spells for things, but she can also basically store, if like something happens to her body, she can store her consciousness in Aldan, and that can do a projection of her body, so she can still interact with the world in a lesser form until she figures out how to fix her body. One thing I did forget about that also could be a cool weapon was Warhammer Gideon. That was Deanne's thing. I forgot to talk about Deanne. Deanne is a giant. She is the serpent's set of envy because, basically, she wants to be with Meliodas, even though he's in love with Elizabeth, obviously. Well, if you watch the show, you obviously. So her being a giant, a member of the giant clan. I didn't even mention clans. So Meliodas is a demon who originally was supposed to be the successor to the Demon King and was the leader of the Ten Commandments before he defected during the Holy War, the First Holy War. So, and then there's Bon, who's a human but immortal. And then there's King, who's a fairy, the Fairy King. His real name's Harlequin. There's Deanne, obviously, who's a giant. There's Merlin, who we don't really know. We just know... I think the thing was she was human at some point. Her real name is not pronounceable in any human language, is the thing. And she has made deals with both the Demon King and the Supreme Deity to basically get blessings from both of them. And is just ridiculously fucking powerful. Probably the second or third most powerful on there, depending on how high you scale Escanor. In the 7 Legends, depending on how you scale Escanor. She's complicated. But then there is... Who have I not talked about? There's Gother, who is a doll, which we talked about. And then there's... there's Escanor, who's just a human. He's just a dude. So technically, if you consider an immortal to be its own race in Bond, everyone in Seven Deadly Sins is a different race. Even though there's 5 main races, we have an immortal and or no. There's 5 main races, only 4 of them are on the Seven Deadly Sins. Technically, Elizabeth is an angel. But, you know. She, or a goddess, sorry. She doesn't know that from her or anything. And she's technically not even a member of the Seven Deadly Sins. So, but yeah, we have... But with the other 4 races being human, giant, fairy, and demon, we have an immortal in Bond, a doll in Gother, and just complicated with Merlin. So they're all different races, effectively. But yeah, anyway, back to the Sacred Treasures, there's Warhammer Gideon, which being a giant that Deanne is a massive fucking hammer. And when I say massive, I mean massive. They found it embedded in a cliff, and it was the entire height of the cliff. But yeah, this allows her to have more control over her... What the fuck? Why is my camera unfocusing? This allows her to have more control over her, basically earthbending abilities that she has as a giant. It's also just a giant fucking hammer with a spike on the back end. So it does some shit. And then there's, something like Twinbow Harriet, which is Gother's sacred treasure. It's twin bows that he uses to amplify his powers. The problem is they're made of energy, and they kind of just come out of his hands. And he just this, and like the bow's in his hand, and he just it's like a gun hand, except it's a bow. Which obviously you couldn't make that in real life. Well, you functional, no. And then this Holy Staff Kurashaus, which Bond, throughout most of the story, does not have. We near the end of the story learned that Merlin's had it the whole time. Well, it's basically a 4-section staff, like that can like separate and be like 4 like nunchucks, but with 4 sections instead of 2. Strengthens Bond. I'm literally reading the fandom wiki. Strengthens Bond's physical and mental abilities to the maximum. It can also the chains that connect the pieces can like lengthen and change angle. And also it's extremely speedy and because it's so weird, it's damn near impossible to predict and even harder to dodge or block. It's also got, like, the 2 end pieces are, like, spikes. And, yeah, I don't know why I just went on a massive rant about the Sacred Treasures and Seven Deadly Sins, but yes, I now have the Demon Sword Lostvayne, the signature weapon, or the Sacred Treasure of Meliodas, the Dragon Son of Wrath, formerly known as the successor to the Demon King and the commandment of the leader of the 10 Commandments with the commandment of love. So, this is now in my possession. Yet another anime blade added to the collection, and with every passing day, the arsenal grows. See you in the next video.